But buy-to-let is very different from typical first-time mortgages. If you went to a solicitor and said, I'm a first-time buyer, I want to buy this property, it's up for 100,000, I've got it valued at 120 and I want 80% loan to value against that 120, they wouldn't touch it. But as a buy-to-let investor, it's a very different market altogether.
Right. At what point in the transaction is the deposit paid?
A lot of the time there is no deposit. If you've got a deal that it's 30% below market value, and you've 30% below market value and the mortgage is 75% loan to value against the valuation, there is no deposit required.
Right. So this is not only a no money down deal. This is a cashback deal.
In essence, yeah, not all of them are. I mean, end of the day, you know, the parameters have changed. The goalposts have been moved quite severely in the last couple of weeks. Historically, it was 85% loan to value with most buy-to-lets. Now it's down to 75.
Sure.
We just need to then obviously change our clients' criteria. So the people used to say to me, as long as it's 15% below market value, anything above that is a bonus. That now needs to be anything 25% and above. So basically that percentage below market value always has to be the additional part to the 75% mortgage, if that makes sense. So if the mortgage rate suddenly drops down to 60% loan to value, we need to be sourcing stuff above 40% below market value. But 25 and 30% at the moment is very realistic. The market is getting, the less mortgage products there are out there, the more people have to drop house prices. Because as I've said before, people still have to sell. Death, divorce, change of job, change of circumstances. Somebody has to sell the house, they have to sell the house. There's no way around it, you know. Or they become a landlord and rent the property out themselves. So, but what we do, as I said, we'll look in areas throughout the UK based on the client's criteria. We'll advise them as best we can. If somebody says to me, find me properties for £50,000 in central London, I'll say, yeah, nice speaking to you. If they say, find me stuff £50,000 in, you know, the northeast, the northwest, certain parts of the Midlands, place out, they're still there and we will find them. And then we'll negotiate the price, we'll negotiate the level of discount as well, and then introductions are done to the broker for them to arrange the finance. All the legals are then taken care of as well. So basically what you have is a hand-holding process. It becomes like a managed loop. People say to us, can I use my own broker? Well, yes, you can, but you kind of break the loop a little bit then. If that broker doesn't know how to structure a deal properly, it can fail. Or people say, can I use my own solicitors? I've used them for my will, my residential purchase, and I've known them for ages. Well, in essence, yes, you can, but do they know what they're doing? If they break that loop and the deal falls apart, then that's down to them, you know, down to yourself. So hence the reason we offer the service as a managed, as I said, a managed loop. If you break out of that, then sometimes the deals don't work. We'll also instruct the estate agent that when they get visited by a surveyor to keep their bloody mouth shut. Because they're not obliged to disclose anything to a surveyor. A surveyor goes there and he makes an informed decision on the valuation of a property. So we had a deal that fell through months ago where it was a block of apartments in Hull. Surveyor went there quite late on the afternoon. The only person left there was like some part-timer. And the surveyor said, I'm looking at these properties. And she went, oh yeah, we're selling those for... Surveyor looked at the valuation and he was like, okay, great. And the deal just fell apart. So that's how easy it can happen. So, and that's why we say, you know, dealing with a company like Ahuja, where we actually say to them, it doesn't work every single time. You'll always get some numpty in the equation. But, you know, we try and cover off all the bases. As I said, meet the surveyor. So somebody from the Ahuja group goes out and says, come with me, Mr. Surveyor, let's have a look at some properties together. And, you know, give them comparables, all the, you know, reports there. They can say, this is sold, and that's sold in this area in the last 6 months for this price. What they're not going to do is look for distressed sales. They'll look for genuine sales. So they can actually say, that's a comparable price. Value it against that. Are they doing anything wrong? No. They're just helping the surveyor. So that's what makes the difference. That's basically, in essence, how Ahuja works. Lots of people say to me, I could do that on my own. Yes, you probably can. You know, I can do it. I can do it very easily because I have the contacts to do it. But I defy anyone in this room to be able to get to the point where they can find properties anywhere in the UK, negotiate the deals, have the solicitors who can manage those deals. I mean, who thinks you can get no money down deals in Scotland? Did you know that you can? Anyone not invested in Scotland purely because they thought they'd have to put big deposits down? Anyone ever looked at Scotland at all? Why not? Why not?
Yes.
Need a passport to get it.
You do, and lots of injections as well, yeah. Scotland is another fantastic market. Scotland has outperformed the rest of England and Wales over the last 3 years by far when it comes to property growth. Hugely strong rental demand. The problem you had in Scotland was the fact that the way that Scottish property law works, you could not structure them as no money down deals. That now is not the case. The Money Centre work with some Scottish solicitors, and we can source, and we do source property in Scotland that requires no deposit at all. And cheap properties as well, 40, 50, 60k. Nice 2-bed, 3-bed flats, apartments and houses that have a huge rental demand for them.
Can I just ask you, Mike,
Of course you can.
in those areas, as an investor, you always look for the exit strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Are they easy enough to offload, to sell, or keep them for 5, 6, 7 years?
That's the thing. You can't look at it short term. If you say, if you said to me, Mike, I'm going to buy a property now, but I'm looking to sell it in a year.
Yeah,
If this was this time last year, I'd just say, yeah, should be no problems at all. I don't know how the market's really going to go. I have a rough idea, so does AJ. If you're looking at it short term, 3 years is a minimum for any property investment anyway. So, exit strategies, you make sure whether you're going to buy in any area, whether it's local to yourself or whether it's overseas, you should always know realistically what's going to happen in the next 3 years. You can't be accurate on it, but the thing to remember is as long as the actual rental is covering off the mortgage and paying you something, your quid's in. So you might not be able to flog it in 3 years, but if it's grown in value by 10%, then you've got 10% worth of equity. If it's stayed as it is, then it's still paying the mortgage and it's an asset. If it grows by 50%, then great. Either you put your rent up by 50% or you flog it and make a small fortune on it. But the areas, to be fair, make no real difference. There's no hard and fast way of defining a perfect area. But as I said, 2 words. What are they? Thanks, guys. That's what it all comes down to. No one can ever say to you 100% guarantee, rubber stamp, this is a perfect area to buy in. What we can do is say, we think this is a good area purely because of what's happened in the last 12 to 24 months. This is what we project going to be happening from speaking to county councils, looking at how the areas have been developed, what kind of money is available, things like that. If they suddenly, as I said, start putting nice double glazing and new kitchens in lots of council houses, it has a positive impact on the valuation and also means you can charge more rent because the areas become more desirable. My bit on the Ahuja group is very short and sweet because, to be fair, what we do is source properties and then basically offer a handhold service from basically finding the property for you right the way through to completion. As I said, there is a fee for that, intro fee of £350. Once that's paid, then we take down your criteria and we start sourcing on your behalf. Gentleman earlier mentioned earlier on he paid a cheque to Ahuja. Yeah. If you give me your details, I'll find out what's happened with that.
I've got Hannah's mobile. I'll ring her again. I'll find out.
Give me your details. I'll deal with it for you.
All right.
I'm the man on the spot. So.
It was when the Northern Rockdale was around.
Right. Okay. We never mention them.
What sort of cash flow do you look at these properties? Monthly cash flow?
As in what kind of return you mean? Or as in rental income off them?
Yeah.
If you're looking at, it comes down to percentages. Depends what you're happy with. I mean, if you buy a property that's cost you £50,000 and it's paying you anything over about £110, £120 a month profit, that's a nice return.